Hello, thanks for joining me. It's time for another of my Songs from the Saddle video blogs where I have a little bit of a philosophical muse about motorcycling and the biker lifestyle. And one of my favourite topics that I'm always exploring in my head is about your relationship with your bike, what kind of relationship you have. And if you've watched any of my earlier videos, you'll know that something that's very important to me and a common theme for me is around whether you work on your bike yourself or not. So whether you take your bike to a garage, to a dealer, and let them do all of the service work on your bike, or whether you actually get your spanners out and work the bike yourself. That's what I want to explore today. Before I start, just in case you're wondering where I am, I'm on a bit of a ride. I live in Northumberland, but I rode from Northumberland over into Cumbria and looped down from Cumbria into the Yorkshire Dales. So I'm just kind of meandering around. This is around the Pennine Mountains, and you can see out mainly on farmland and moorland. Just beautiful motorcycling roads around here. Anyway, today's topic. Motorcycles have very much become consumer items in recent years, by which I mean that they're no longer essential transport for just about all of us. We choose to have one just to take out and ride as a hobby, and as a consumer item they've become subject to all of the social manipulation, the media manipulation, and all of the manifestations of our consumer society. And some of the aspects of that that we see are that people have to have the latest and the best version. So when a manufacturer brings out the next year's model, the latest year's model, there's a few little tweaks, in some cases maybe just a change in the colour scheme, that's all there is, but some people have to go out and buy that latest best bike. And this means in most cases that they are selling or part exchanging a perfectly good motorcycle just in pursuit of the new, to have that extra 2 brake horsepower or that different paint scheme or whatever. So motorcycling then almost has become a fashion item where people are following the latest fashions and trends in motorcycle design, and that must have ideal of the motorcycle. And of course, in fitting with this kind of consumer item that motorcycles have become, there's now a range of accessories and clothings to match your motorcycle, so that you're all kitted out with the latest, most fashionable stuff. So maybe you recognise yourself in what I'm talking about. If you always buy a brand new motorcycle, always take it to the dealer to get it serviced, you change it every couple of years, then you're a consumer. Nothing wrong with that, it's just a social comment that I'm making. But what I want to contrast with that is people who ride older bikes in particular. It doesn't have to be, but it typically older bikes, and then they do the servicing, the maintenance on their bikes themselves, because I think such people fit more into the category of craftsmen or craftspeople, if you like, rather than being consumers. And I feel, and this is talking from my own personal experience, that there are many benefits of that, particularly in terms of having a closer personal relationship with your motorcycle, and you tend to put your heart and soul into it. So I just want to dig a little bit deeper and explore this idea in more detail. So as a rider, as a motorcycle rider, the focus tends to be on what the motorcycle can do for you. Does it meet your needs as a rider? Whereas as a mechanic, and what I was calling a craftsman, the focus is more on what you can do for the motorcycle. What does that motorcycle need doing to it? How can I fix it? How can I improve it? And it's a very, very different mental mindset, and therefore a very different relationship with your bike, particularly if you ride an older bike, a classic bike. And I believe that mentally it's very healthy for you to work on your own bike, and it's quite aside from things like cost savings. So if you're a rider, you might say that focusing purely on the riding is rather narcissistic, in that the focus is on yourself and what you can gain out of your relationship with your motorcycle. Whereas if you are if you're a mechanic, and particularly if you're riding an older bike and you're fixing it, then you have this very, very different relationship, which, as I say, and I'm going to go into more detail, I think bring many benefits, both practical and mental. So I think the practical benefits of doing your own servicing, your own maintenance are obvious, and I know other people have talked about them, but I just want to go through them because I think they're important. The sub aspects of this are very important to me. So the first one is that if you work on your bike, you know what has been done. You know exactly what's been done and what has not been done. Every day I read on Facebook posts about people complaining they've taken the bike into a dealer for a service and it's not had things done that they claim has been done or that should have been done according to the service schedule, or the job's not been done correctly. Another aspect which is very important to me is that when you work on your bike yourself, you can take much more time and take more care than a mechanic would if you're taking it along to a dealer, a workshop. They're always working on a time schedule. If you take a bike in for a standard service, that mechanic has a fixed amount of time in which they're supposed to complete that service. Whereas if you're doing your own mechanic, you can take as much time as you want. A simple example is if you're just changing your brake pads. I will not just take out the old pads and fit new pads, but I will actually remove the brake calipers from the bike. I will give them a very good clean and make sure the pistons are clean. Just with some soapy water and a toothbrush, get round there, get all of the dirt out, and then re-lubricate the threads on things before I put it back together. And just little things like that over longer term ownership make a big difference in terms of the reliability and the functionality of the bike. But it's really the mental benefits that I want to focus on. One obvious thing is if something goes wrong with your bike, we talk about problem solving and working on a bike, particularly if you've developed a fault, and electrical faults I think are the best for this. You're trying to work out what's wrong. We talk about how it can develop your problem solving skills, but I actually feel that in reality what you're working on more than anything else is your problem finding skills. It's about finding what's causing the problem in the first place, and that can be the biggest challenge. And then once you've found what the problem is, then you move on to, well, how do I solve that problem? So there are a number of benefits of this. Obviously, it increases your understanding of your motorcycle and how your motorcycle works. And also, I believe that you develop a more empathetic relationship with your motorcycle. As you understand it more, if you've worked on it, you just have that much more empathy. And then if you feel that something's slightly wrong, or you hear that something's slightly different, you're just generally more in tune with your motorcycle. Another aspect which is so very, very important to me is the deep satisfaction of fixing something, or of identifying that problem and solving that problem. This is some aspect of life which seems to be removed from us in modern society. We seem to be getting more and more helpless as individuals. And linked with this is this idea of self-reliance. There is a wonderful feeling of self-reliance in being able to service and maintain your own bike. And again, that's something which we're losing in modern society. And I think that is so very, very important for your mental health. It's not just about keeping the bike on the road. It's one of the most positive mental aspects of owning a motorcycle. This ability to develop your self-reliance. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the subject, on this idea of being a consumer or being a craftsman. I don't know if that's the right kind of terminology, but that's what I'm playing around with in my head. I hope you found this video interesting, possibly thought-provoking. I would be interested in your thoughts. Please put your comments below in the discussion section. I always love to hear feedback from people that watch these videos. I find that most people that watch the videos and certainly get this far are quite deep thinking about their motorcycling. And so it's great to be able to interact with people like this. So thank you very much for watching. Ride safe. Hopefully see you again soon. Bye.